Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are in this great nation, and welcome to Who Could Have Imagined what a timely conversation this would be. I'm Jan Crawford. I'm the chief legal correspondent for CBS News, covering the Supreme Court and upcoming confirmation battles. And I am delighted what is going to be, as I said, an incredibly timely conversation about a terrific book written by Cato's Ilya Shapiro, Supreme Disorder, in which he traces the history of our confirmation battles, going through the most recent one with Justice Kavanaugh, and then outlines a possible path forward. When I read the book for the first time, and I was honored to get a sneak peek of it, I thought this is just really an indispensable guide that I got to keep on my desk for the next upcoming confirmation battle. Georgetown Law School, also a Supreme Court expert, kind of scooped me on those words. That's how he described it, an indispensable guide. And Carrie Severino has also written kind of a guide herself with the Judicial Confirmation Network, a book about the recent fight over Justice Kavanaugh's nomination. So we're going to have a conversation today about what is the news of the day, the week, the month, the year, Justice Ginsburg's passing, and now the upcoming fight over the nomination and confirmation of her successor, with the backdrop of three incredible experts, well-versed in history and current affairs and analytical skills about what we can expect. I'm going to start with Ilya, who, as you know, is head of the Robert A. Levy Center for Constitutional Studies at Cato. I've known Ilya many years because he and I, in June, stand in front of the Supreme Court waiting for interns to shove Supreme Court opinions in our hands, and we go over those before we break the news of what those opinions says. And his analysis is always quick, astute, and sometimes he even gets some of that signature dry wit in there. But he's written this terrific book, and like I said, it is Supreme Disorder. Can you guys see this? It's something that I think now more than ever, when you wrote this book, Ilya, you certainly didn't think this would be breaking at this moment. Obviously, with aging justices, anything can happen. But I'm just going to turn it over to you. Take us through what made you decide to write this book, and where are we right now? I mean, the world has changed since Friday, but we kind of all also knew that this could be coming.
Right. Thanks, Jan. Yeah, the publisher had to pay extra to get the timing as it is now. It certainly was in the back of my mind, I think a lot of people's minds, that something like this could happen. And indeed, there's something a little odd and not too healthy about the morbid health watches of justices and the arbitrary nature of vacancies when they appear. Is there a better way? And that's, is there a better way, is why I wrote this book. In the wake of the Kavanaugh hearings, DEFCON 12, I thought to myself, has it always been like this, or this kind of ever-growing ratchet? When did it start? The role of politics? And as I began to do my research, I realized, politics has been a part of the nomination and confirmation process from the very beginning. George Washington had one of his nominees rejected, for example. So these sorts of controversies, they play out in different ways. The concerns are different. The political machinations are different. You had to have regional balance or concern over somebody's perceptions on the role of the court or on slavery or then railroad regulation or what have you. In the modern day, there's really a couple of turning points. I wouldn't put it at Kavanaugh or Garland or Thomas or even Robert Bork. And that's the court's own self-corruption, allowing the Roosevelt administration, FDR, to implicitly amend the Constitution, expand federal power, change the way that rights are understood. And so you had this divergence of constitutional theories. And what we have now, what's different now than, say, 1962, when President Kennedy nominated Byron White, who had an hour-and-a-half hearing. He was questioned for 15 minutes about his football career, probably the last time that a Supreme Court justice had played in the NFL while a student at Yale Law School. But, things have changed. And the reason is we have the culmination of these trends whereby divergent interpretive theories map onto partisan preferences at a time when the parties are more ideologically sorted since at least the Civil War, if not ever. And that's not going to change back overnight. I talk about in my book, Supreme Disorder, potential reform efforts, term limits, restructuring the court, expanding the court, what's known as court packing, procedures to change on the hearings or how the confirmation process itself works. But at the end of the day, this is just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, because the Titanic is not the process, it's the ship of state. And since the court is so important, deciding so many political controversies every year, the only way to reduce the tensions, to detoxify these fights, is to rebalance our constitutional order, send power back to the states and the people, and within Washington, reorient the power. So it's Congress that's debating and deciding the remaining policy and values clashes, rather than pushing everything into the administrative agencies, the executive branch, which can only be sued. They can't be unelected. So I'm afraid that whether for now or in the long term, I don't have any magic previously undiscovered bullets to fix this, to dissipate the toxic cloud that envelops judicial nominations as much as the rest of our public discourse. It took decades to get to where we are, and it's going to take decades to come out of it.
So, it sounds like where we are, bitterly divided, that we've seen in the most recent confirmation battle, which Carrie Severino had written her book about, that, how much uglier can it get, right? So your point, Ilya, I think, is that the process is, as you said, rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. The court has injected itself into, say, more social disputes than ever. And so this just is an inevitable outgrowth of that. Ilya, is that kind of
right? The theories of constitutional and statutory interpretation are so different, and those seats are important. And so